An old Wurmerian saying goes, "Give a Felkarian a stringy rabbit, and she'll give you a feast." We didn't understand what that meant until we spent an evening in Raschil, a culture built around making the most of what it's given, and nowhere is it clearer than in Felkar. Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of Elric and the Young Kingdoms. We're staying in Raschil today as there's too much of this once Melnibonean port now rebuilt into a bastion of military tradition and, based on what we've also learned from the Wokos, a dark underbelly filled with cutthroats and corruption. Same disclaimer as always, if there's something you feel I've misrepresented, please let me know and I'll address it in a following episode. I source all my information from various RPG books and snippets of lore from the books themselves. Today, I'm showing the finished version of a piece I featured on the last episode, and I hope you enjoyed the artwork. I've expressed my immense respect towards all the masters that have drawn the Eternal Champion before, and I make sure to credit all of them accordingly. With all of this out of the way, let's dive into Raschil. We leave our inn at Anchor Ward, the place where the harbour meets the city, named for the sailors and traders who first anchored themselves here generations ago. It is a maze of steep, narrow streets, and on the northern hill, there is a tradition of racing road beer kegs downhill just to see who survives the trip intact. The tavern that donated a keg gets to drink whatever's left, if any. We walk around the streets at one of the many craftsmen hard at work around, and we see the militia patrolling equipped with long swords, short spears, and a target. We also see suspicious looking sailors with less traditional blades around the port, hinting at foreign origin we're yet to explore. One of the sailors walking around the harbour from last night greets us and introduces us to his fellers and tells us about all our stories. They tell us there was this man with a similar craft to ours, a storyteller by trade, who visits many inns around the town telling stories in exchange for a drink and sleeping by the hearth. Many inn owners seem content with letting him drain their barrels as he draws in many of customers. He even gets called to the prominence. One of the sailors interjects, interrupting his friend that the queen and her nobles are more than eager to let him entertain their guests. From Anchor, we cross into hills towards a raised marble platform locals call the Talking Corner, a place where, by long-standing custom, anyone can stand and express whatever they want, free from interference by the authorities. We observe a man claiming King Raschil never died and will return on a golden barge with an army of foreign princes to conquer all of the Southlands. We hear an old woman babbling in language unrecognizable to any, claiming she's a princess from a different planet waiting for her rescue. We also observe a Pentangian warning that chaos is coming for everyone. Worth explaining here since they keep coming up. 1,000 years ago, during a war against the beast folk, a rift opened up and an entire population of humans got dragged through it and dumped on a bleak storm-battered island of black rock and glass. Pentangians claim the same inheritance as Melnibone has to sorcery and blind in their allegiance to chaos. The rest of the human world genuinely fears Pentangians, such as the hollow-eyed one we see upon the podium. They all feared the warped and sadistic minds that emulate only the cruelty of the Melnibonian chaos rulers. They do not revere in chaos the same way Melnibonians did, with reverence towards chaos's both cruelty and fate beauty. Instead, they revel in the evil and cruel from their single city called Huamgarol. The city of screaming statues, named so for the twisted souls figures embedded in its walls and rooftops. Many Pentangians are known to be fearsome pirates, and their sorcerers engage in the darkest and most twisted chaos magic. The man we observe doesn't look dangerous, just someone far from home pleading to a nation of law to convert to chaos, or else they'll not be delivered from what chaos will bring upon the southern kingdoms. The man steps down and a raging lunatic rushes, screaming about abolishing all monarchy and giving the axe treatment to all the nobility. It is brave to assume the king's court doesn't have ears around here, and we can imagine, no matter the freedom of speech, some surveillance is being exercised here. Whether the lunatic is dismissed as just a lunatic or a threat, that is left to the ears of the council covering under the guise of tradesmen and locals. We leave the noise of the talking corner and head back down to the harbor. This is where the wealth of the city comes and goes. Wide causeways of glowing white stone curve out into Eric's Bay, and the docks are never quiet. Merchants for Vilmer, the Purple Towns, Shazarian traders, Ilmorian freighters, all funneling through the narrow stretch of the quay. We overheard some rumors last night from the sailors. A man named Lord Nasir takes the position of Chancellor of Hills. Unofficially, Nasir is not very involved. The actual running of the harbour falls to his nephew and his staff of 20 wardens logging every hull that comes and goes. This is where things get a bit less courteous. Nasir has personal interest in his nephew's work. Not out of love for the harbour and the maritime, he simply skims a cut of every mooring fee that crosses his nephew's deck. We find a warden willing to talk to us with a promise of a drink later. He tells us about how records get massaged, levies disappear, and the right bribe in the right hand lets cargo slide through untaxed, sometimes even cargo that shouldn't be allowed at all. Anyone getting a little greedy and trying to blackmail the Chancellor can find himself missing, and their body turn up a couple days later with a few missing limbs. No charges are pressed, and no one is expected to. We've heard enough of the warden and head back to our inn as daylight begins to fade from behind us, and we waste no time and get to our beds. We explored 3 different sides of Raschil today, each telling its own story, from local storytellers captivating nobles, to marble podiums where doomsayers and treasonous lunatics get to scream their lunacy without fear of repercussion, to the familiar corruption and cutthroat world of the harbor. I think we've earned our passage out of the city, and next time, winds willing, we're crossing the eastern border to a nation of decadence and wealth, Argimilar. And as always, make sure you subscribe to explore the rest of Moorcock's world with me, and be aware the journey will be long and perilous, and I'll be glad to have you with me.